Welcome to Setup Zero1. Today, let's get straight to the point. We're about to explore some of the most promising games that never saw the light of day. From titles that promised new worlds to experiences that left fans disillusioned, we're diving into each of these projects that, for various reasons, disappeared from the radar. So grab your popcorn, get comfortable, because the video has only just begun. PT. PT was a playable teaser of horror released for free in 2014 for PlayStation 4, serving as a preview for the game Silent Hills by Hideo Kojima. After Silent Hills was cancelled in 2015, Konami removed PT from the PlayStation Store, preventing new downloads. Even those who had already purchased the demo were unable to download it again later. In short, PT became inaccessible, surviving only on the PS4 units that already had it installed. Scalebound. Announced at E3 2014 as a promising cooperative action game with dragons, Scalebound was a partnership between Microsoft and Platinum Games. However, the title faced development issues and was officially cancelled in January 2017. Microsoft ended production, stating that they made the decision to end production of Scalebound. Since it was cancelled before release, Scalebound was never playable and remains one of the big disappointments of the Xbox One generation. Fable Legends. This Fable spin-off was to be a free-to-play cooperative action RPG for Xbox One and Windows 10. After a long period in closed beta, Microsoft cancelled Fable Legends in March 2016 and simultaneously announced the closure of the Lionhead Studios, the game's developer. The cancellation occurred just months before the planned official launch, making the game unplayable outside of beta. With the project and studio ending, the classic Fable series went years without new titles. Silent Hills. Silent Hills would have been the next chapter in the famous Silent Hill horror franchise, developed by Hideo Kojima in collaboration with filmmaker Guillermo del Toro and starring actor Norman Reedus. The project was revealed through the teaser PT, but was cancelled in 2015 by Konami after internal conflicts. As a result, Silent Hills was never released. The only glimpse of the game was PT, which, as mentioned, was removed and is no longer available for fans to play. Thus, Silent Hills joined the list of promising games that never saw the light of day, leaving only speculations and conceptual materials. Babylon's Fall. Released in March 2022, this multiplayer action RPG from Square Enix and Platinum Games was a massive commercial and critical failure. 6 months after release, Square announced it would shut down the game's servers less than a year later. On February 28, 2023, Babylon's Fall had its service terminated permanently, rendering it completely unplayable. The company also cancelled any planned updates. With this, Babylon's Fall joins the short-lived live service Games Club, removed from the servers shortly after hitting the market. Lawbreakers was a competitive hero shooter created by the Boss Key Production Studio, led by designer Cliff Bleszinski. Released in August 2017, the game failed to maintain a player base. In May 2018, the studio shut down, and shortly afterward, Lawbreakers became free-to-play, but with limited time. The developers announced that support for the game would end on September 14, 2018, when the servers would be shut down. Indeed, on that date, the servers were permanently taken offline, making Lawbreakers unplayable since then. Battleborn. The MOBA-style shooter from Gearbox Software had an unfortunate launch in 2016, directly competing with Overwatch. After a weak performance, Battleborn faded into obscurity and its services were discontinued. 2K Games announced a shutdown date for January 2021, removing the game from digital stores beforehand. On January 31, 2021, the servers were completely shut down, making the game fully inaccessible, including its solo campaign. 2K confirmed that Battleborn became completely unplayable after this date, ending the life of the title in less than 5 years since its launch. Paragon. Paragon was a third-person MOBA developed by Epic Games. Launched in early access in 2016, it never reached a full release. In January 2018, Epic acknowledged that the number of players was insufficient and decided to shut down Paragon, offering full refunds to all users as compensation. The servers were shut down on April 26, 2018, rendering the game unplayable. Epic later released the game's assets to the community, but Paragon itself remains officially closed. Marvel Heroes. Originally released for PC in 2013, this online action RPG featuring Marvel Heroes was later released on consoles in 2017 under the name Marvel Heroes Omega. However, at the end of 2017, Disney ended its partnership with the developer Gazillion Entertainment and announced the game's end. Disney declared in November 2017 that all Marvel Heroes games would be shut down. Shortly after, the servers were closed and Gazillion shut down its operations. As a result, Marvel Heroes and Marvel Heroes Omega were permanently disabled in 2017, making them unavailable for play ever since. The Culling 2. The Culling 2 was an unexpected sequel to the Battle Royale The Culling. Released in July 2018, it received a disastrous reception, very few players and numerous negative reviews. Surprisingly, just 8 days after release, the developers decided to pull the game from the market and shut it down. Xavient, the company behind the title, offered full refunds to all buyers and removed The Culling 2 from digital stores like Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. In just over a week, the game ceased to exist commercially, becoming unplayable even offline, and entering the history books for one of the shortest lifespans in an online game. Concord. Concord was a multiplayer sci-fi shooter released by Sony in August 2024. Despite several years of development, the game failed dramatically to attract players. Less than 2 weeks after its release, in September 2024, Sony announced the shutdown of Concord due to low engagement and negative reception. The servers were taken offline on September 6, 2024, and all buyers received refunds. Sony also closed the Firewalk Studios, the studio responsible for the title. As a result, Concord became unplayable and entered the record books as one of the shortest-lived online games in recent history, rivaling The Culling 2. MAG. MAG, Massive Action Game, was a massive online multiplayer FPS exclusive to PlayStation 3, released in 2010, famous for supporting up to 256 players simultaneously. Being fully online, MAG relied on Sony's servers, which were shut down on January 28, 2014. With the servers shut down, MAG became completely unplayable, as it had no offline mode. This closure, announced in advance by Sony, marked the end of this innovative online shooter just 4 years after its release. SOCOM Confrontation. This tactical multiplayer shooter, released for PS3 in 2008, followed a similar fate to MAG. SOCOM Confrontation required a connection to the PSN servers for its online matches. The game did not have a solo campaign. In January 2014, along with MAG, the servers for SOCOM Confrontation were permanently shut down. Since January 28, 2014, it has not been possible to play this title officially, closing an era of PS3 online shooters. Warhawk. A classic aerial ground multiplayer shooter for PS3 released in 2007, Warhawk was also primarily online, although it supported LAN play. Sony kept the Warhawk servers active for more than a decade, but eventually announced their shutdown. After a delay to comply with advance notice policies, the servers for Warhawk were closed on January 31, 2019, meaning it can no longer be played online since then. As Warhawk was focused on online matches, its closure effectively retired the game, unless players resort to LAN local setups, which are unfeasible for most, leaving the game practically dead. City of Heroes. City of Heroes was a superhero MMORPG released in 2004 and lasted until 2012. Despite having a dedicated fanbase, NCSoft, the publisher, decided to close the game in 2012 as part of a restructuring. In August 2012, NCSoft announced the closure of Paragon Studios and the preparation to retire City of Heroes by the end of the year. Indeed, in November 2012, the game was shut down. Since then, City of Heroes has not been available officially. Although fans later created unofficial private servers, the original MMO remains disabled and unplayable by official means. And now, I want to know from you. Which of these games do you miss the most? Which one could have changed the industry if it had been released? Leave your thoughts in the comments and let's talk about these experiences that never came to be. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more content like this. See you next time, here on Setup 01.